Now, normally, folks, if people were accusing a presidential candidate of cozying up to Vladimir Putin, that would be the biggest scandal he'd ever face. But Donald Trump does have a lot of face, so that's not even the worst Trump scandal this weekend. Which brings us to tonight's word. Word. What the family? Now, for space considerations, we've had to shorten it to what the F, but know that it means what the family. Now, one of the most moving parts of the Democratic Convention was a speech given by Crazier and Ghazala Khan, the parents of an army captain killed in Iraq, who called out Trump for his anti-Muslim bias.
Donald Trump consistently smears the character of Muslims. You have sacrificed nothing.
Strong words from a grieving parent. Mr. Trump, your response.
I think I've made a lot of sacrifices. I work very, very hard. I've created thousands and thousands of jobs, tens of thousands of jobs, built great structures. I've had tremendous success.
Yes, Trump has sacrificed a lot. First, humility. Then Trump went after the grieving mother, implying the mother wasn't allowed to speak because she's Muslim.
If you look at his wife, she was standing there. She had nothing to say. Maybe she wasn't allowed to have anything to say.
Yes, Trump knows a good husband allows his wife to say something. Now, an ordinary candidate. An ordinary candidate, when faced with near universal condemnation, would stop there. But this morning, Trump took to Twitter to go after the dad again, tweeting, "Mr. Khan, who does not know me, viciously attacked me from the stage of the DNC and is now all over TV doing the same. Nice." Yeah, nice. I mean, how could you possibly judge a presidential candidate unless you've met them? Well, I've met Donald Trump. So I'm on solid ground when I say, Donald, you're being a dad bag. Which again, due to space, we've had to shorten. Clearly, Donald Trump's problem is that he says things that get him in trouble. And the only solution is for him to say things that get him into more trouble. It's worked until now. This entire campaign, Trump's made us forget about the crazy statements by saying something even crazier. He announced, back in 2015, he announced his campaign by calling Mexicans murderers and rapists, which, I'll admit, seemed terrible until he said John McCain wasn't a war hero because he had been captured. By the way, that means POS stands for part of society. And we were shocked until he made us forget McCain by saying Megyn Kelly had blood coming out of her wherever. But he outdid that by saying we should ban Muslims from entering the country. Then he made us forget about that by talking about the size of his penis, which seemed shocking until he implied Ted Cruz's father helped kill JFK. The next terrible thing always seems to fix the previous terrible thing. It's like the old woman who swallowed a fly. Only Trump would never be seen with an old woman. Now, personally, I am reminded of Winston Churchill, who once said, "Those who fail to learn from history are doomed to..." Trump said what? Now, Trump's going to have to say something really outrageous to make us forget these things he said about the parents of a fallen soldier. But if he succeeds at making us forget, I think he'll get to say the craziest thing I can imagine. And if that day comes, ladies and gentlemen, we are all familied. And that's the word. We'll be right back with the man himself, Donald Trump.